The Jim and Terry Show, podcasting from a UAP near you.
A UAP?
We've been beamed up. Maybe it was from the San Diego Naval Base where they were doing some practicing runs in their fighter planes off the Naval Aircraft Carrier Group stationed there, and they got something on their forward-looking infrared radar. Clears.
Yes, and I think this show is going to be a lot about conspiracies and stuff. Like, I believe in aliens, or UPAs.
I always thought you were an alien, Jim.
UAPs. Would you help me when I get backwards?
UAPs?
UAPs.
Unidentified aerial phenomena.
Yeah. Because when they came out with this, it got cut to pieces by a bunch of other people.
Oh, when it went to the congressional...
Well, that was... See, this is our 500 series talks.
Looking back.
And one of the things we went through is this wonderful unveiling that they're finally going to tell us.
Who's out there?
They told us freaking nothing. And that was very, very frustrating for me. Terry and I both watched the congressional hearings. And right away you knew there was a problem because there was a bunch of seats that said reserved on the seats, and the place was empty, and there was just a few people, and some of the which they were questioning didn't look all that bright to me. And so whenever they came to a point that you would really be interested in, that person would say, that's for the closed session.
Close the doors.
That's for the closed session. That's for the closed session. So in other words, they told us absolutely nothing. Now, those nice, fortunate people, there was something so important, there was closed session. They couldn't even discuss it to the average human.
You can't handle the truth.
You can't handle the truth. So it would be amazing to know what they were told and what they saw.
Well, we do know it was published. Wasn't it 98 pages? And you got about a page of stuff that you could actually read. The rest of it is page after page of blackened out lines.
Terry, it was 9 pages they gave us.
No, 9 pages is what we were able to read.
And 2 of them were like
redacted.
No, 2 of those pages were explaining what was in the pages.
You mean the introduction?
Yes.
Oh,
and it was just an absolute joke. What it does scream out for those who are fearful of the fact that there are UPAs out there, they are. It screams of that, and maybe that was part of their plan, that people like you and me who watch, we go, well, there's no reason why all of this needs to be discussed behind closed doors if there isn't something that you want to keep from the public. No reason why. So, and I can even see the argument, because it would come up, how do you know this? And they don't want to give the enemy how they did this.
Yes.
But I do, as a society, think they deserve to tell us, yes, there is something that'll blow your mind.
Definitively.
Yeah. Definitively, and it's not us.
Are you definitively convinced, yes, they are there, UAPs?
Yes.
And yes, there are occupants of the Tic Tacs?
I don't know if there are occupants of the Tic Tacs. There's obviously something intelligent operating the Tic Tacs. And we've already been told by just about everybody who can tell you, they're not ours. So whatever they are, they're not man-made. Now, they may be dolphin-made, or they may be mosquitoes from Pefferlaw made them. Man did not make them, and that makes this incredibly interesting. Whether they be interdimensional, angels, demons, or aliens, I don't care. I find it fascinating.
It is fascinating. So part of the Jim and Terry Show 500 series looking back is to say that we've explored this, and we were hopeful when we saw this congressional U.S. committee. Yeah, they're going to make a presentation, answer some serious questions, and give us the final answer. Are we alone in the universe? And nothing came out of it.
Well, the only thing that came out of it was, that's for us to know and for you to find out.
Closed doors, redacted documents. It's a conspiracy.
Now, way back in the day, my daddy told me the reason we're not going back to the moon is because they told us to get off and stay off.
The lunatics Is that what you call people from the moon? Lunatics?
Lunar ticks? Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe
Okay.
maybe they are extra skeletal. What do you call that?
Oh, exoskeleton.
Exoskeleton,
beings.
like little ants, like in that movie way back in the 50s.
Oh, yes.
Or was that the 40s? It might have been the 40s.
I think we had Starship Troopers, which is a 90s version or early 2000s. I still like that one. Yeah, exoskeletons, because you can withstand a lot of G-forces with your skeleton on the outside.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. All right, let's move on past that conspiracy theory, and we have no answers for that. Just we covered it.
Yeah.
It was done,
It's
and it was
reflecting.
released, and we're still hoping for an unredacted something or other.
Well, they said it was coming, but I don't think it's gonna. I think
Well-
because there's such a lack of interest in the general public, why bother?
I know. Here you are, Jim and Terry Show. We're on the cutting edge of all things that are mysterious, and nobody wants to invite us to their closed sessions. We could have got behind those doors. We could have reported first off the Jim and Terry Show.
I would have liked that.
Well, I still say we have a Winnebago rental coming up in Area 51. Here we come. And we'll broadcast from the top, sitting on top in lounge chairs, having a pina colada or whatever we have while we look up at the Area 51.
Heavens.
All right. Other things that we have covered in terms of topics over all these years of podcasting. We've talked about some contentious things.
We were going to talk about
Trump lost elections, and I just not want to talk about Trump, but about the churches, especially fundamental evangelical churches, mulligans over to it's okay, we accept you, to being God's man, to being the election was faked and it's rigged.
Well, I think a lot of the evangelicals got to read the Old Testament when there were evil kings and there were good kings, and the evil kings, their comeuppance did hit them, and God does not like a lie. He doesn't like that, and I've mentioned it many times in Revelation. That's one of the many things that are listed that'll keep you from entering into the New Jerusalem, and so we've covered a man that has done a lot of lying. So and he has. It's a fact. It's not just, you don't have to guess at it. And to just say that that's okay because he's God's man. You and me had this discussed in the show, and I said, well, he may be God's man, all right, but sometimes, God puts a man in place to punish
for
the
judgment.
nation for judgment, as he did with Pharaoh when it came to, he hardened the heart of Pharaoh. I believe it said that Pharaoh was God's man for that time, the king that God put in charge. So those evangelicals, and that's why we're talking on a religious end of it, I think a lot of them need to give their head a shake in a lot of their beliefs, to tell you the truth, because it doesn't resemble anything. Go back and read, 1 Corinthians, if you want to see about setting up a church and see if your church looks anything like it. That would be a good place to start.
Yeah, we've talked about the church as being a business enterprise more than a faith-based enterprise. So it's difficult when politics infiltrates a religious institution. I'm going to use that because I'm not sure that the church, the way we see it now in whatever denomination you want to talk about, is anything but an institution. It perpetuates itself with all the warts as well as all the good.
Well, yeah, and part of the problem is when you start, like we have a lady that at our church that everything that we do, she wants to charge money for. And we've had the argument over and over and over again that no, let people use. They're going to use that for one day. Don't charge them nothing. They need the parking lot. Don't charge them nothing. Well, we can set up a donation thing. No, that's charging. Don't charge them anything for that. And so far, that's worked out that we've come to a consensus that we will not charge for certain things. Part of the reasoning behind that is because people think that we're only into Christianity for the sake of making some money.
Yeah, where's charity?
And where's charity? And so I'm grateful that at our church,
you're following a principle.
We're following a principle. Now, if someone wants it every week, okay, there may be a charge, for that. We got to keep the lights on, and trust me, we don't have excess money. But for the other parts, you got to look at it. What would Jesus do, as you've often said? And I think the evangelicals have to understand that. These get-rich churches need to understand that you're really probably, possibly poisoning the minds of people, thinking if God loved them, they would be millionaires like you. So what? God then doesn't love them when he said you can't serve God and money? You know, money is the root of all evil. You know, do not dress up in fancy clothes. Don't do that.
So we've covered a number of contentious topics, but that was one. The church's role. Is it complicit with Donald Trump, with political corruption, with corruption of any sort? We've covered it all in our 500 podcast series, The Jim and Terry Show. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.